Autumn Beckman here. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. This will be part 2 of the Q&A, and if you can hear some noises in the background, that is Vincent. I filmed this video this morning and I've just gotten home from the hot car after being at work, so that's why I look a little bit different in the rest of the video. Enjoy! Question 10 is from D. Kane. Do you own any Dior products, and what are your thoughts on them if so? The only thing I have from Dior is this little scarf, twilly style scarf, and let me just run it by you here real quick. So this is the Le Diable scarf, and I got it because it has these bats on it, and I used to call Sebastian Bat. So, and it's the same on the other side, so I'll just flip it and show you. So I got it because of the bats, and I just thought it was cool and pretty, and then on the back it has this pattern running down the whole way. I think the quality of this compares with Hermes twillies. The Louis Vuitton little scarves like this, the bandeaus, I'm generally not as impressed with as I am with Hermes and the Dior, but I think that's lovely. I don't know anything about their SLGs and their handbags. I've never had those, so I can't speak to that. Question 11 is from Borough of Queens. Any trips planned to Europe? Not really planned. This goes back to the birthday question. So I turn 40 next year, and I have been talking for a few years about wanting to go to Paris. The thing is, it's very expensive. We went a few years ago, 4 years ago, to Italy, and we were there for 5 weeks, and it was the first time either of us had been out of the country, and we took advantage of that as much as we could. It's $2,000 or more per person to get a round-trip flight, and to spend that much just to get someplace and back, you want to really, or I really want to make it worth it and stay as long as possible, which makes trips more expensive, of course. But if you're gonna go, if you're gonna do it at all, you might as well do it right, is my philosophy. So we probably won't go because of the price of it. We may go to California instead, do a road trip up and down the coast. That's a lot more likely than getting over to Paris. And I think if we did go over there, since we're already there, we would want to go to a few other places too. We'd want to go around France a little bit, maybe Spain, maybe back to Italy, maybe Switzerland. I'm not sure. We haven't looked into it that much because it's just probably not going to happen because of finances. But yeah, so I have a little dream of going there, but no real plans. Question 12 is from Janice Loves Starbucks. And she says, what would you do if you could go anywhere and do anything just once? Well, that kind of ties into the previous question. And another way I could answer that is that I already have. Our Italy trip was incredible. We spent 5 weeks there, and we went all over Tuscany and lots of different cities and towns there, and just had an amazing trip. So that was such a dream trip. If I never get to go anywhere else, I'm happy with that trip. You know, I will travel more, I'm sure, but if something happens and I can't, I can die happy from that trip, really. Question 13, also from Janice Loves Starbucks, and she adds, any regrets? I don't think so. I was thinking about this. I live my life, one of my little philosophies is to live without regret. And I think that whatever choices I made at the time I made them were the right choices for me at that time. So no, I don't have any regrets. And I guess I'm fortunate in that sense because there are plenty of people who do. Question 14 is from Sharon the Night Owl. She asks, what's a reasonable price for a clip to use to hang luggage tags from bags? I have no clue how much they should cost and don't want to overspend on them. Those things, so I buy them from Etsy and mostly from Mautto, and I'll link it below. I think they have 2 or 3 different listings, and some are cheaper than others for some reason, and they seem like exactly the same item, but around $10 is where you want to be, which is way overpriced for what those actually are. I mean, they should be 30 cents or something, but that's what they cost. So I haven't found a place to get them cheaper. Maybe there's some on eBay, I don't know, but I buy mine from Mautto. I think a lot of YouTubers do, and that's where I would send you for that. And again, I'll link that below. Question 15 is from Color Times Naps. In your own experience and from hearing from other YouTubers, do you think the LV purse quality, such as stitching, materials, etc., has gone down over the years? I do. I personally don't have a ton of experience with that because I don't have many brand new items to compare, but like that Empreinte Speedy I showed earlier that was all crooked, yeah. And then lining the canvas up, my Turenne back there, let me show you. One of the things that I always heard about Vuitton and how to tell if a Vuitton bag was authentic was to look at how the pattern lines up where the seams are. So let me pull that apart a little bit. So you see how that lines up really well. But then on the bottom where this seam is, it's crooked. So the flowers don't line up with each other. I looked at 3 different LV stores and compared Turennes at all 3. None of them lined up. I was told by the SAs that that's because the bags are handmade. I don't know that I believe that they're handmade, first of all, and at this point to make them in those quantities. But second, if they're handmade, then they should be more perfect, because I've done some sewing, and when you're hand making stuff, you've got human eyeballs on it and human hands that are able to make it line up. So I didn't buy that excuse. I have heard that the canvas has gotten thinner. When I looked at that Empreinte Speedy, I also looked at a Canvas Speedy, and it didn't feel thinner to me. This was a few months ago. I was expecting, having heard all these people say that it felt so much thinner, that it would feel really thin and flimsy, but it didn't. It felt more sturdy to me. But when I compare that to some of my oldest bags, I have my Noé GM that's about 30 years old. That is definitely a heavy canvas, and if I had those side by side, that older bag would probably feel thicker than the newer one. I should do a comparison of like the Turenne with some of my older bags and see. Question 16 is from First Obby Girl 76. Hi. Do you ever thrift clothing, so like shop for thrift clothing? If so, what are your favorite shops and type of clothing you love to score? Personally, I love it when I find an awesome jacket or a pair of really cool shoes. I don't. I used to when I was in high school. I really enjoyed going to thrift shops and doing that. I don't even remember the name of the place. I think it was Village or something, and they're antique shops. And when I lived in New York, there was like a vintage clothing store that I went to, and some thrift stores and stuff. And it was more out of necessity, because that's what I could afford, rather than buying things new. But no, now when I tend to shop, I tend to get t-shirts like this at Talbot's, just basic pieces, staple pieces. And then I'll get other pieces at Marshall's, TJ Maxx, those kinds of places. That's where I tend to shop. Every once in a while Target, but not too much there. But I did wear this little sweater. This belonged to my grandmother. So this is pretty old and definitely a vintage piece. I do have a few pieces in my collection that are from family members or boyfriends, but I don't really thrift anymore. I don't know that there's even a thrift shop near me. I'm not sure. I just haven't done that in a long time. One of the other reasons I stopped is that it's difficult to search through and find things that I like, and then I couldn't try things on, and I have to be able to try things on too. Question 17 is from Dawn Maria Dent. Hi. When did you make your first luxury purchase, and what motivated you? On a personal note, who is your favorite artist and why? So the Trevi GM over there was my first Louis Vuitton purchase, and what motivated me was that I had been interested in Vuitton for a long time. I finally went into a Vuitton store in New Orleans a few summers ago, and I saw a Neverfull in person. Y'all know I've talked about I've had fakes before. before I bought the real pieces, and they would just fall apart pretty quickly. So when I finally saw that Neverfull up close and it was real and all this, I could see a huge quality difference. And then when I started watching YouTube videos and hearing about how the bags hold their value pretty well, that was the biggest selling point for me. So I felt like I was able to justify that purchase by saying, okay, I can save up and buy this, and then if I ever need that money back, I can sell it and get a lot of the money back, whereas a lot of other brands lose their value. I mean, you can buy, for example, a Coach bag for $300, and then even when it's still in good condition, you could get less than $100 for it, whereas a Vuitton is going to hold most of its value generally. As far as favorite artist, that's hard. Probably Mark Rothko. I'm really into abstract paintings and color fields. The painting behind me I don't think I've ever talked about, but that's one of mine from my college days, kind of Rothko inspired. Question 18 is from Pale Horse 153. What do you know about the LV Millier monogram bag? Not much. I haven't looked at one in person. I do, they catch my eye when I see them, and especially the Empreinte bags. I saw somebody at a sushi restaurant like a year ago with an Empreinte Noir Millier, and I thought it was really beautiful. And my friend Lily LV has the Millier, I think in canvas. So she'd be a good person to ask. I really don't know much at all about them. And question 19, I do think they're pretty. Question 19 is from Moses Soelis. Did I say that right? What do you think of the Louis Vuitton Retiro bag? And that's not one that I've seen up close in person either, but I do really like it too. It has a little bit of a vintage vibe going for it. My favorite is the one with the black trim, and I know they also have the vachetta trim, and I saw a red trim the other day. I don't know much about it, otherwise I'm not sure what to say, but I do like them. Well, that was almost 30 minutes of Q&A there. For those of you who stuck around, I appreciate it. And I'm going to end it here. Thank you so much for those of you who sent in questions. I hope I answered them to your satisfaction. And please let me know if you have any more questions or comments in the comment section there, and check out the links that I put in the description box. All right, thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification icon. Bye guys.